Hello, my name is Christine Smith and I'm here with Claire today. We're talking about two articles, What Do the Arts Teach and He Fixes Radios by Thinking. We're going to discuss why order is important in both of these articles and how it contributes to everyday activities. So Claire, why does art create order and help stimulate creativity?
So I think in both of these essays, there's different aspects of creativity. Like in He Fixes Radios by Thinking, he uses hands-on activities to really get to where he wants to go and learn more about the radios that he's working with. So I think that's really important. And then when talking about art, art is always done with your hands, and you can't really do art without hands-on activities. So I think that's really important.
What defines art and makes it important?
So there's a quote in What Do the Arts Teach article that says, "The term work is both a noun and a verb, an activity whose consequences live not only in the subject, but in the maker. The work of the art is a process and a product through which we make ourselves." And I think this is a lesson that may not be taught in other school subjects, and that it doesn't involve memorizing information and later on taking a test. So the lessons we learn through art may not be obvious in other school subjects, but for that reason, schools don't really find the need to focus all their money and efforts on the art classes.
So that leads to our next question. Why are art classes not funded as much as other subjects, such as science classes?
Well, according to the arts article, it says the arts, insofar as our schools are concerned, do not represent high status knowledge. For more than a few in a policy world, they have nothing at all to do with knowledge. And in the eyes of the school, arts should not require as much attention as other subjects. As mentioned in the article, art gets the least amount of funding by the school, and this could lead one to believe that the art is at the bottom of social order.
Why is this a typical social order? Why do we follow it?
Typical social order emphasizes math and sciences as the important subjects, and art is put aside as important because it doesn't have structure and you don't have to follow specific rules, and many students don't recognize knowledge that can really be gained by art.
How do hands-on activity help stimulate acquiring knowledge?
So another quote from the What Do the Arts Teach article, "The arts teach children that problems can have more than one solution and that questions can have more than one answer." And I think this way of learning can be really beneficial for creating fun and interesting activities that stimulate our knowledge. And just like creating a radio, there's a process of trial and error that can lead to success.
And another thing with the art as well is it helps you see connections and relationships that you normally wouldn't see, and how different people interpret those different connections, and that leads to helping you stimulate more creative, critical thinking. Why does working with your hands force creative, critical thinking?
So another quote is, "The way qualities relate to each other, whether in sight or sound, through prose or poetry, whether in choreographed movement or dance, or in an actor's lines and movements, is critical. The creativity that is prominent in the arts relates to a lot of critically thinking by allowing people to think without rules and use their own judgment."
How does art encourage critical thinking?
Another quote is, "This is a cognitive use of emotions, where judgment rather than rule prevails." And I think this is an important aspect of critical thinking because it leaves a lot of room for interpretation. And when talking about art, no answer is right or wrong, and the way of critically thinking can be connected through all aspects of our lives.
How does art influence all aspects of our lives?
Well, another quote that I found is, "Learning in art requires an ability to surrender to unanticipated possibilities of the work that is to unfold." And I think that art of mastering how to react to events that we cannot foresee is really beneficial to people, because especially working in the real world, you never know what you're going to get, and you never know what you're going to have to deal with on a particular day.
And then how is it important to recognize small differences as having large impacts?
So another important quote that I found was, "We are too eager to settle for what is quickly demonstrable. We need to learn how to take a longer-term view and be held accountable for more than merely measurable." So I think this goes along with art teaching us things that we can't necessarily learn in a classroom, and we can't necessarily learn from textbooks. So I think that's also really important.
So in conclusion, with the arts and he fixes radios by thinking, it shows how the art process, along with how he would fix radios, which is kind of his personal art process, it shows how important the process is and how much you really do learn along the way, and how you can interpret things differently, and how you can see how Richard Fleeman explained how he used different tools to make different things, and how he kept learning and progressing from where he began. So it's really important to be a creative thinker and to be focused on art in order to learn new things, in order to continue to improve your critical thinking. So thanks for joining us today. See you soon.